Good morning, good evening. Nasaan na yung mga tao? Hello! Ayan na, eto na mga tao. Hello! Good evening sa inyo. Sino yung mga nandito ngayon? Yes, Proxima Centauri. Tama naman. Konting reminders lang. Alam naman natin meron tayong special guest ngayon. At alam ko rin naman, aware din naman ako sa mga comment section na hindi lahat kayo on board. Pero Filipino hospitality, ika nga. So, wag tayong bastos, guys. English man yan, medyo nakaka-pick up na siya ng konting Tagalog. So, konting ano lang naman, konting tawag dito, ah, paalala. Ayan. Mag-hello muna tayo. Wala pa ang ating special guest ngayon. So, mamaya ko na i-introduce ng bonggang-bongga. Let's say hello to Ribo Aguirre. Hello. Hello, Gibson J. Kamusta ka from Cebu? Hello, Wilhelm. Ayan. Kamusta? Kamusta? Of course, we have Errol, Explorers from Canada. Kamusta kayo? Good evening sa 109 na nanonood ngayon, mga regulars man yan or mga new folks na medyo lurking, ayaw munang mag-comment. Yun, I will have a very special guest for you. So if you have like sentiments that are not on board with everyone else, medyo set aside nyo muna yan kasi excited ako dahil kaibigan ko to at ngayon din kami magkakaroon talaga ng usapan about pageantry. Alam ko, marami sa inyong nag-aabang ng mga pageantry updates at maraming nangyayari ngayon. So, yes. Ano ba? Ano ba mga sasabihin ko? So, inaantay ko lang, may inaayos lang siya. So, tayo lang muna magchikahan dito. So, let me say hello to a few of you. Hello! Ridan, Adona. So, guys, later kapag magchichikahan kami, siguro hindi mo na ako makakapagbasa ng mga comments ninyo. But, we'll do like more of this Q&A mamaya-maya. So, don't worry about this. Hello, Travel Junkie. Kamusta ka? Hello, Xavier. Ayan. Hello, Sabas. And hello, of course, Almond. Ayan. Toffee's World ay nandito rin. Sino pa ba? Si Shane. Hello, good evening sa'yo. Choi. Hello, good evening. Choi, wala pa si Luis ngayon. Inaantay pa natin siya. So, check ko muna guys check ko lang sa kabila kung medyo nagka-aberya ba siya o kung meron ba tayong mga aabangan. Wait lang ha, wait lang. Sana hindi maputol. Okay guys, mukhang wala naman tayong nababasang message na medyo nagka-problema. Nako, si Edward Kamungaw, naka-shawarma, buti ka pa. Ako naman magdi-drink reveal. Kailangan natin na energy ngayon. So ako ay naka-coke. So ayan, thank you so much. Hello, Vladimir, na nasa South Korea ngayon. Of course, mawawala ba ang ating addict dito? Hello, Asher, kamusta ka? Ayan. Hi, Kian! Naku, Kian, namimiss na kita. Kamusta? Hello mo kay Cotton. Sana umokay na siya. Ayan. Hi, Kian. Chika tayo. Hello, Jester. Kamusta? Nako, sino pa ba mga nandito? Si Kenneth ay nandito rin from Dubai. Hi, tita! Nako, ito si Xavier. Sabi na nga ba, kailangan books before boys. Ayan. Hi, tita, reviewing for quizzes. Oy, dapat hindi ka nakababa dito. Late di ako late, ang saya. Oo, hindi ka pa naman late, pero nandito na ang ating kasamahan. Sino to? Hello, Jay! Oh my God, present finally. Excited for Lovinia Sesh. Okay, so guys, nandito na ang ating makakasama. So, behave. Okay, thank you so much, you guys. Papasukin na natin. I invite, ano ba to? Ano ba to Hola, Luis! Hola! Can you hear me? Asan ka na ba? Luis, nandito ka na. Hola, Luis, you're here. Hola. Good evening. Good evening to you. Okay. Luis, can you hear me?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me, Tita? You're completely
I can
frozen.
hear you, mabuhay. Hi. Is everything okay? Can you hear me?
Oo.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello? Oy, nawala si Luis. Ayan, di bale. Aantayin natin siya bumalik. Hello! Oo, medyo delayed, Jerome, no? Ay, hi, Luis. Yes, I know you're here. Come on over. Ayan. Okay. So, Luis is trying with his phone. O, sige, push natin yan. Push natin. Okay, let's answer some questions. Carly Ramirez, watching from Paris. Are you going to meet up in person? So yes, ikikwento siguro ni Luis later how we got to this collaboration. For those of you who don't know, si Luis ay nandito ngayon sa Maynila. So magkikita kami, we will have dinner and then we'll have another meetup, this time with a queen. So ayan, may mga aabangan naman kayo. Ayan. Um, Luis. Nako, hi Gian, kamusta ka? Good evening sa'yo. Nako, mag-meet na daw tayong tatlo. Nako, ano kayang schedule ni Luis? At nangangapa din ako kung anong gagawin niya dito sa Pilipinas. Tanong natin yan mamaya, Gian. Alam mo naman, madaling tumambling. Ayan. Okay? Saan? Okay, sige. Hi! Jer Rojas, present na present. Nako, si Jamiki Sage. Gwapong-gwapo naman kay Luis. Inaantay natin. Wait lang Okay, wala naman tayong problema o kumbaga kung wala naman siya sinasabi na nagkaka-issue. So, abangan lang natin. Ayan. Hi Ken, kamusta? Hello Patricia, kamusta? Okay naman ang linggo, chores are done, kaya I'm super excited for tonight. Itaas natin, road to 50k subs. Naku, sana naman maambunan tayo ng followers ni Luis. Ayan. Nako, Chris Reyes, pag-usapan natin yan mamaya-maya. Hi, Mike Denver. Hello. So for now, inaantay natin si Luis. Siguro may problema siya sa internet niya. So nagtatry daw siya using his phone naman. Ayan. Hello, Mitch. Gets ko tong attendance mo. Si Asher talaga? Hello, Nars! Watching from Singapore. Waiting for my next flight. Going back to Manila. Naku, mag-ingat. Yung mga, tawag dito, yung mga mag manunood o kaya may pupuntahan sa kung saan-saan, mag-ingat tayo. Nandito na ulit si Luis. Good evening, amiga!
Hello, Tita. How are you?
I'm fine.
Can
I'm
you
so
hear me?
happy we're breathing the same air. How are you? Are you cool? Are we cool? Are you
The
doing
internet
okay?
is the worst. Oh my God, it's cutting so much. I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Tell us, what are you here for? Why are you here?
Okay,
In the
so
middle of
I've been
Christmas
here in the
season.
Philippines for a little bit over, well, it's gonna be 3 days now.
Okay.
So excited, so happy, so jet lagged. I'm gonna tell you that. This is the first time that I have such a long trip, and it's been honestly like such a journey because the preparation for it, just making sure that the logistics, that everything is working, has just been crazy. But getting here, seeing my friends, and just like experiencing the Philippines for the first few days has been so rewarding. So I'm so happy about that. Were you
This
expecting me to
is
come?
amazing. I'm sorry? What was that? Yeah? What was that? I'm sorry? Kapit lang, guys. Luis, can you hear
Oh,
me? Ay, Luis, are you there? Can you hear me? Naku. Oh, internet problem. Kayanin natin ang internet. Luis, can you hear me? Baka naman may message to Luis. Kayanin niya. Oh, maybe the AirPods? Wait, wait. Chat. They say,
Okay. Can you see me now? Can you hear me now?
oh yes, I can hear you. Did you remove your AirPods?
No,
No.
I actually I'm gonna try it on my mobile data. I'm not sure how much I have left, but I think that we can get through
Nako,
it.
do you have your number, guys? Kargahan nyo na to ng mobile. Come on.
I got my provisory
No, but it's okay
Filipino
now.
number.
What did you
It's
do?
okay. Oh, so I just turned off the Wi-Fi. Oh.
Oh, I see. I think this is working. All right. Let's
Oh my
try.
God.
Let's hustle. Luis, if you need your phone number, if you need data, let's flash your phone number so that they can give you more data.
Oh.
Good evening to the 555 who are watching right now. Let's rally for Luis. Let's do this again. Luis, mabuhay.
Mabuhay Philippines.
All right. So let's pick up where we left off. So 3 days here in Manila. How long are you staying? Are you staying till Christmas? Maybe.
Possibly.
Possibly. So later, let's discuss if you want to flash your address because you guys, it's in the middle of Christmas season. If you want something sent to Luis, we'll discuss that. All right. So your coming here is a mystery. A lot of people are saying, are you judging Miss Earth? Let's dispel that rumor.
Oh my God. Okay, so many people have been messaging me the same thing, asking me, are you gonna be a judge for Miss Earth? Honestly, guys, there is nothing in the waters right now with Miss Earth about me judging the pageant. I really just came, first of all, because I finally had the occasion with my work, because I've been trying to make it happen for the longest time and I've
I
been unable
know.
to. Yes. So I was able to get it done with my work. I was able to make sure that my friends that I want to meet and see are here in the Philippines at the same time. So there's that. And also, I mean, Miss Earth and pageant season. So I wanted to attend as a viewer, as a fan, not necessarily as a judge. So if they ask me, by all means, I would love to, but they haven't.
So there is a possibility for you to watch the finals because the
Yes,
finals will be here in Manila. Is there a
absolutely.
possibility?
Okay, if I mean I will be in Manila, so yes, 100%. Even if I have to like
Guys,
if it's not
connection
as a
sa
judge, I will
tickets.
be
Alam
there.
niyo na, ha? You know
Are you
where to
going,
send the
Tita?
tickets. Me?
Are
No.
you
I have a
yeah.
partner. My partner will probably go there and watch it. I'm just gonna
Oh
watch from the
oh.
sidelines.
Uh-uh. You should come with me. Let's go.
Too far. I live
Oh
I
oh.
live in the northern area, so it's a little far for me to watch the finals, in
Oh
the middle
oh.
of the city. That's in the southern part. So
I see.
there. The
I see.
motorcycle ride is a little difficult. All right,
Yes, I
let's
feel you.
check out some fans here. There are some fans who want to say hello to you. Let me just try to figure this one out. Let's see. Um okay, let's check out the new comments. I don't know. Why are they talking about another vlogger? They're talking about someone else. I don't know what's happening. Luis, I know that you're super jet lagged. Are you doing anything to help you make yourself feel better?
Oof, honestly, sleep. So much sleep. For the first 2 days, my body was literally just in pain. Like I could barely go out and do like many things. I could barely eat. But today was a lot better. I was able to go out for a bit. I was able to eat like a proper meal. So it's getting better. But yes, also think it's just like meds and like multivitamins and stuff like that to
All
make it
right. So
better.
I hope that in the next few days you'll get your groove back because I will be seeing you several times this coming week. right? So we'll
Absolutely.
have like
Yes.
more interaction together. Let's say hi to
Yes.
FJ Diaz. He is saying, we're going to be throwing a lot of English words together, but mabuhay Luis is saying.
Mabuhay, FJ Diaz. I'm so sorry, everyone, for those of you who don't speak English. The nosebleed will be real today. Usually, I'm the one having nosebleed when watching Tita's videos, but it's your
I
turn
am
today.
100% sure everybody will and will make a way to understand.
Yeah,
Luis, meals. Let's talk about your meals. Have you tried Filipino food or have you been waiting on that?
I have absolutely. Okay, so the first day that I got here, the first thing that I did, so my friends went and picked me up from the airport. I didn't
Yeah, we
tell
saw that.
many people that I was coming. I just told my close group of friends, so they showed up for me at the airport. And right after that, we went to have some Filipino food. First of all, I
Oh,
had some halo halo right there,
okay.
and we had also um, specific dish that was noodles with beef, veggies, and it was like I don't remember the exact name, but it was delicious,
Pancit?
delicious.
Was
I
it
think it was pancit. I think it was
pancit?
pancit. Yes.
It was
Um,
pancit.
but right after that, honestly, I had to stop on the next day because that's when the jet lag and everything hit me. And like my stomach did not want any food at all. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think that tomorrow I'm gonna be okay to go back
You're
to
gonna be
eating.
okay. So
Yes.
yes, you have to condition yourself because guys, I for those of you who are interested, I will be meeting Louise. We will have proper dinner together. It will be our first time of course to meet and later in the week we will have another meeting but this time it's for an interview that I've arranged for Louise. So I hope that you get the chance to really check on these. I want to say hello to Julian. Julian says, hello, Team Louis Lai. Or for those of you, what was that? Luvinia? What was that? Hashtag
Lavinia.
Luvinia? Oh, there. Hashtag
Hashtag Lavinia.
Luvinia. Julian is saying, I'm so happy to see you both in one vlog. I'm working on a Sunday, but this is a treat. Enjoy. I'll be team replay in a minute. So thank you so much, guys, for dropping by and for, checking us out. Lemuel is also saying good evening. Um, let's talk about MU. Miss Universe,
Yes.
agad-agad. All right,
Let's
Luis,
do
I
it.
have so many questions for you about Miss Universe. You're following this, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely. I must say, for Miss Universe, I'm staying in touch with everything that is happening, especially by following the pageant pages. I'm following the candidates myself as well as social media. But of course, I think that I've been focusing a little bit more on pageants that I comment before. But I think that right after Miss Earth, I'm getting full into Miss Universe in terms of like creating content and stuff like that. For the meantime, I'm just like following on my own
Following.
side of things.
Actually,
Yeah.
me too. I haven't even started with my Miss Universe content yet, but
Hmm.
I think just like you, right after Miss Earth, I'm going to, be more focused on them. But let's talk a little bit about this ownership because I've been wanting to talk to someone who probably has a
Mm.
different perspective. So
Yes.
when they ask an Jacafong Jack Rajutatif on
Yes.
board, of course, I think we were on the same page. I think a lot of us really were happy about having her on board. What was the feeling on your end, or at least pageant fans who aren't
Mm.
Asians on your end?
To be honest, for me initially, I was a little bit in denial in the sense that I
Okay.
didn't know if the rumors were true prior to the announcement. But right after it was announced, it was like instant happiness. I was very optimistic about it. I was very positive because I thought that that Miss Anne would be able to bring shine to the pageant. That will be able to make it a little bit more like the Miss Universe that a lot of the fans talk about. Like they always mention, oh, the Miss Universe in the 90s or the Miss Universe in the 2000s
Right.
and
So
give it
so
that little bit of
nostalgic.
the
Yeah.
glam. Exactly. So that's my hope. I don't know if that's her vision 100% because we have seen like new things coming out of how she
Right.
wants
Right.
to run things. But I think that overall, she's going to bring good opportunities for the pageant, perhaps more visibility in terms of like sponsors and deals and just making it better for the girls.
You know what? I was really on board the first time that they announced this. Like I had no reservations at all with her going on board because I
Hmm.
would always follow the money trail, and the money leads to her, which means there are so
Yeah.
many things that she could accomplish. But
Hmm.
during the last few days or the past few days, I have been seeing more comments that are more mixed about her plans at Miss Universe. And in particular, I want to also drop this. This one came from the comment section of a pageant page called Miss You Updates. And
Yeah.
I think the admin was replying because she's usually like very neutral when it comes to Miss Universe, but I felt that the admin was replying on how sort of disappointed she is that it's going to be Thai centric. Do you have like any
Mm,
fears that it would go that way? Because I actually get her point. It's just that I'm not so worried. But what about you guys from the Latin
mm.
pageant scene?
I'm not worried about it. Honestly, I'm not worried about it because the way that I see it is that for the past few years, I mean, especially since I became a pageant fan, just a reminder for people out there, I started even just getting into pageantry in 2020. So the amount of years that I have been able to experience myself as a pageant fan are like very, very low, only 2 years. So yes, I do some research about previous years and what happened and the winners of that, but realistically, I was not following those years, right? Um, but for me, the feeling that I get is that right now, having everything based in America, the pageant is not getting its flowers. Like in terms of
Okay, so it's not
sponsors, in terms of
booming. Right,
mm,
right.
mhm.
I get you.
um, television is not giving it the treatment that should be given, like
Okay.
media sponsors and all of that. So I believe that right now Asia is really like the powerhouse in terms of pageantry. So I believe that by bringing it to Thailand, it's going to be a smart business move for the organization. And that's also one thing that we tend to forget as pageant fans. We want the show and we want the advocacy and all of that, but we also forget that this is also a business for them and they need to make money in order to keep up the pageants and expand and grow. So I think that it's a smart decision. Mm, so I'm okay with that. Honestly, no problem.
You know what? You raised the point actually that I've never heard before because I would always um read the comments, and a lot of them are sore that it's not going to be like in New York, or that
Yeah.
the runners up will have more role and that they will end up promoting more of Thailand. But it kind of makes sense with what you're saying. The brand has been with them with IMG, with Trump, and then whoever had it before Trump. And right now, it does have to flourish, and it did not flourish under IMG. It did for a little bit, but that was just for 1 year, and that was just the Catriona's year in
Mm,
2018. Right after
exactly.
that, it was just all forgettable, and we could always just remember the really bad things about it, like the tarpaulin, or I don't know, that crazy stage in Georgia where you couldn't see anything. So again, I am super hopeful. But what about the fears, Luis, of other people on favoritism? Do you think that this will prevail in pageantry, or do you think they're going to hold true to their promise that it's going to be fair? The girls will have to work hard for it.
Yes, of course. I think that um how would I put it? So I think that hopefully my expectations is that there will be a certain neutrality when it comes to the pageant because let's not forget once again Miss Anne is a businesswoman, so it will be from a business perspective it wouldn't make sense for her to always have favoritism for Thailand and then have that affect their sponsors or whatever countries might be hosting the pageant and all of that. I believe that this will give Thailand a little bit of an advantage, maybe with like local sponsors and people who, companies, local companies that might want to support the pageant. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Thailand more often in like the top tens and top fives,
Yeah, me too.
But I don't think it's gonna be a situation because I've seen so many comments being like, "Oh, now it's back to back for Thailand every year." I don't think it's gonna be that because at the end of the day, um, I always try to look at things from that perspective. Is the business side of it? It wouldn't make sense for Anne to put so much money into something and then just let it sink because she's not playing by the rules.
Right, right. All right,
That's my
let's
hope.
answer this. Well, I'm hoping as well. I mean, if I were a Thai candidate, I'd say bummer. I was already there, and then you give us a new layer of challenge. It's going to be
Mm,
harder for us Thai girls to, snag that crown without the chi of saying this
yes,
was because I was heavily favored by the organization. So I feel
yeah.
actually that's going to be harder for them
I
because
feel
they
the
have
same
to
way.
prove themselves even more. All right,
I feel the same way.
you know where this will be leading. We're talking about Miss Universe. Of course, this will pop up. Luis, you've always had a special spot for the Philippine candidates. I think that your career also rose with
Yes.
the Philippine candidates in mind. So, Jobel Loria is asking, what is your idea about Miss Universe Philippines, Celeste Cortesi? Po. Ayan, may
Oh,
po.
oh.
Very polite.
Thank you, Paul, for that question. Oh, it's my friend Jobel, actually. She's my friend Jobel.
Oh,
She
hi,
stood up at the
Jobel.
airport for me.
Ayan naman pala, friend naman pala.
Okay, so honestly, I am really, really happy with Celeste. I think that in terms of the looks, in terms of the preparation, the walk, everything, she is really going to amaze us. And I think that you brought a really good point, Tita. I started my entire like pageant journey, with Philippines and Filipina candidates, and for that reason, I must admit, like Filipinas hold a very, very special place in my heart. So of course, whatever I'm doing, like the reviews and all of that, like even like the request from the fans, it's very, very like Philippines based.
Right,
Um,
right.
but I would say I try to keep it as neutral as possible when it comes to like doing hot picks or leaderboards, because I tell myself the people don't want me to lie to them. People want me to give them my opinion, whether that is positive or constructive criticism. Because at the end of the day, sometimes the girls and their teams are watching these things and they could benefit from a little comment or two. Um, I did my first leaderboard for Miss Universe this year in September, and I put Celeste at number one. And then people went crazy. They were like, "Oh my God, here goes the favoritism. This goes there, that." No, guys, if I do it, it's because I truly believe it. I had one concern about Celeste. Okay, I had one concern about Celeste, and it's that at that time when I made that video, there was not so much showing of advocacy. We were getting a lot of pasabog, we were getting a lot of photo shoots, videos, events, appearances, all of that, and I was seeing very little advocacy, and I thought that would be a problem. But more recently, they have been, working on that. I have
More.
been seeing
Right.
footages of Celeste traveling with some of the other top five girls as well,
Turn this up.
meeting with the communities, with the people, and doing the work. And for me, I think that's very good. Um, so honestly, as of right now, once I get a little bit more into the Miss Universe, because other candidates have been crowned as well, I'll see how the ranking goes. But I'm so happy with Celeste. I couldn't be like more satisfied. What about you? How do you feel about her?
I have been on Team Celeste Cortesi since day one.
Mm,
When she joined Miss Earth, and this is a story I tell my followers a lot. When she joined Miss Earth in 2018, she was really rather young, and
mm,
she probably wasn't in the right headspace before because she was really, feisty, and she would go head to head with the bashers. It didn't matter whether they were Indonesians or Filipinos. So she really did have that reputation of being rather wild and not
mm,
queenly enough, not Miss Earth enough. And
mm,
even before going to Miss Universe, she would really do a lot of these sexy shows. So I like the idea that she continues to confuse people with who she really is. But she's a lot older now, in
yeah.
terms of like age in pageantry. So I feel like she has calmed down. She has matured
Mm,
a lot as well. And
mm,
Luis, I've seen her in person, and I see a lot of beauty queens, Filipino beauty queens in person. So they don't really strike me as, really surprising, but I saw her at the fashion show. She removed her makeup. She was on her way home. She was in jeans and a shirt. And we were like, standing together, and I didn't know that it was her. And I was like, oh my God, that face is so beautiful. That's a crazy, beautiful face. So, from a Filipino fan's perspective, I cannot
Mhm.
wait to have a candidate because for me, I mean, it's just a bonus if we get to place higher, or that, if they still see the Philippines as worthy of a semi-finalist finish. But I'm just really happy that we have someone we're sending who's like facially beautiful,
Beautiful,
because I'm
beautiful,
shallow
beautiful.
that way. And I love that she's super vulnerable. Like when she speaks in English, it's, some people will say shallow. It's simplified English, but it's English from the heart. And, these are the things that I really like about her.
Mm,
So I'm not rooting for her to really win because, that's going to be too much of me. But
yeah,
I'm hoping she does well. Well,
me
long
too.
enough so that we can see the evening up.
Me too. And you know, I think that one that you mentioned, for example, you said that you have been following Celeste for a very long time. I've been following her since her announcement at Miss Universe Philippines that she was going to compete. And she was actually the second interview that I did for my show on my channel with the girls. And that's also something that sometimes people don't understand, you know? Um, when you have that type of access to a candidate, sometimes it can change your perspective. Not in terms of bias, but understanding better her story, where she's coming from. For example, I will get a lot of comments. How can you put her at number one if like she's very insecure when she speaks? But I had like an hour long conversation with her. I knew that she just has a tone of voice which is like a little, shaky, but she's a very confident speaker. She might not be the most fluent, eloquent English speaker in the world, but she can,
True.
communicate properly. She can do that. So I feel like when you have that little experience with them, you can appreciate them better from behind the scenes. And this was all virtual, so I never had the face-to-face encounter just yet. Um, but yes, people need to take those things into consideration as well when we give them, our opinion. We give them, um, we also share our own experiences with the candidates. I don't know about you, but when I do like topics and stuff, my experiences behind the scenes reflect on the topics because some of the
I
girls are not what
suppose.
they seem to be in front of it.
But you know what? They can't do that with me though, because I know, because they know I'll do like a chichi post. So they're always just nice with me. There were
Yeah.
some before, but that was like before. Anyway, I made
Mm.
the chichi post on them. So yeah,
So I have a
it's a
question
tag.
for you before we change subjects, because you mentioned earlier, now that the pageant is Thailand based and all of that. Do you feel like having the pageant based in Thailand now might affect the way that the Philippines has been recognized in Miss Universe up until now? Because we have been talking about the streak, like how many times the Philippines has been able to make the top 20 or 21, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I think it's like 12 years in a row at this point.
Right, right, right.
Okay. So
How
do you
do I
think that might
feel?
be? Mhm,
Honestly, no. Because I've always felt, Luis, that every time we would enter the semifinals at Miss Universe,
mhm,
that they don't just recognize the Philippine sash, that they recognize the work behind that. And being
mhm,
Filipino and being onto the Philippine pageant scene, I know that we train our girls the same way athletes are trained in the Olympics. So whenever we would enter, I would never question it only because I know of the amount of work that goes into the Philippines entering the semifinals. Now, I would think that way if, I would feel some changes in the way we would train our girls. But as of now, we are still as aggressive in training our girls. Like, it doesn't matter whether we've had two Miss Universe in a span of 10 years. For me, that's not part of the equation. If
mhm,
we won't get to enter, it's probably because we didn't really do enough to get into that top. So
mhm.
I'm not seeing that. I don't think that we're sloppy in sending a candidate. So I
Okay.
have faith in the Filipino candidates.
Absolutely. I have faith in it too. And once
Mm.
again, I try sometimes to remove myself from, because that was the beginning of it all. But I mean, for me on my channel, when it comes to pageantry, But I think that in terms of preparation, the Philippines is a reference. And you can see it just in the amount of Miss Universe girls that come to train in the Philippines. So that already says a lot about the country and the culture of pageantry in it. So I agree with
And
you.
you know what? Even before we started entering, because before this, we have what you call the dark ages. So this was like the 10 years before 2010 that we weren't placing at all. But I felt like even so, we were supportive of our girl. Like before, there wasn't any there weren't a lot of social media platforms. In fact, in some years, none at all. But we would check the newspaper, we would check on the news and really check where our girls are. Are they in Venezuela? Are they having procedures done? Are they being trained in Colombia? So we
Yeah.
always found a way, even with the limitations of social media. Doesn't matter from which generation you're from, we've always found a way to really support our girls. So even when we weren't placing at all and we were just mere participants at Miss Universe, I mean, we took care of everything. I remember even Binibining Pilipinas made sure that our girls had etiquette training so that when they would be sent out for dinners with dignitaries, I mean, we wouldn't look really, sloppy out there. So
Yeah.
there's training work. And you know what, Luis, right now, I think that the training team of the Philippines, they're really making a killing out of training other girls because I'm seeing an influx of so many international pageant girls coming here. Miss Vietnam is coming here for training. Miss Thailand has had Filipino training. How do you feel about this?
I feel like it's flattering in a way because to me, what that says is that everyone wants what the Philippine has. You know, as you said earlier, um, you don't fear of how the new ownership might affect the Philippines because they recognize the work and the hustle behind it. So I think that having people coming so much to the Philippines, it proves that they also have the same vision. They see the results of what you're doing. I think that perhaps in upcoming years, depending on how they run the pageant, we might see as well some of that um, attention moving as well a little bit more in Thailand. So I'm expecting Thailand to be, able to like rival a little bit more with the Philippines in the upcoming years, just because of how much the owner seems to be putting, effort into promoting Thailand. Um, but in terms of preparation and like trainers and you name it, like every single aspect of the pageant, I feel like the Philippines is definitely like a worldwide powerhouse right now. If not the number one, is definitely in there with the top three powerhouses in the world.
All right. I'm looking for this question. Okay, wait. I'm looking for this question. She was actually asking about Anna of Thailand, who just recently released a number of photos. Um, I don't know. I'd be concerned as a candidate if you are going to go like head to head with someone like Thailand, who's a well-oiled machine. How do you feel about Miss Thailand this year?
Very happy with Miss Thailand. I followed her national competition up until like her crowning moment and everything. And when she won, I was very, very happy with it. So satisfied. But I think that, so earlier we were talking about is there going to be a bias at Miss Universe now that everything is based in Thailand? And I think that the answer for that is for Anne to crown a girl from Thailand and for the fans to be happy as well, it needs to be an extraordinary girl. It cannot just be a pretty girl or a girl who is good with communication. It needs to be someone who will be able to elevate the pageant. And I think that Anne can do that with her image. She seems to be very, very implicated as well with advocacy, working for the organization and with the organization. Um, so to be honest, if she was to win, I wouldn't be upset because I think that she's delivering like Miss Universe level of consistency. How do you feel about her?
I love her. I mean, that the styling, it's going towards the Catriona styling with the hair
Oh,
and
yes.
the red lipstick.
Yes.
But that's just it. I'm looking at her. I'm thinking that she is doing the job. I mean, she's ticking the boxes for me. I am a little concerned though, because even if I know she has this solid social work behind her, I just feel like maybe we still need more work with communication skills. So I just don't know how that will play out. But
Yeah,
if the winner will end up doing a lot of work in Thailand, that might be a really good idea, in terms
yeah,
of making a smooth, like a smoother transition. So
yes,
I don't know.
exactly.
Let's see, right? Oh, Lane Miranda. I think Lane is a friend of yours. Please make a
Yes.
shout out for our boo, Luis Portelles, Purple Angels family. We are watching now. You have
Oh,
your
shout out.
own fan base, fan group,
Oh, honestly, friends group. That's what I have. Shout out
friends
to my
group.
friend Lane. Love you guys so much. Thank you. Lane was also the one who came to the airport with the giant
Ay,
banner.
talaga ba?
Yes. You know what the Purple Angels are? So initially, when I started my channel, I would get to know as many of them as I could, like on one, because my subscribers in the beginning were really small. So I just became friends with all of them. I knew their stories, add them on Facebook, and we had this group conversation, and we called it the Purple Angels. And then when everything started growing and moving faster, we just kept that for ourselves. Like we didn't add new people or anything. It's just our thing, and we talk often. We video call, we stay in touch, and one of the big part of the reasons why I came to the Philippines is also to meet them. So
That's nice. I mean, it's always nice to really like do something about your dream. Like when I think about, oh, I'd love to go to Canada. Of course, that's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna move. But you moved. I
come to
mean, you
Canada.
did the first. I don't have the papers, Chaz. Ay nako, this one is an interesting question. It's coming from Bin Lee. Cuba is doing well in pageantry, but we'll talk more about that later on. But Bin Lee is saying, Hi Tita and Luis, good PM. Do you think that Cuba can come back again in Miss Universe in the future? We have a new owner. Give us
Yes.
information on this, Luis. We're counting on you.
Okay, so I think that Cuba has a strong chance of coming back to Miss Universe for the 2023 edition. Not in January, but the one after that. There have been certain rumors going around about people wanting to get the franchise, already getting in touch with the Miss Universe organization. And for the past few months now, I've been working a little bit like behind the scenes with the Miss Cuba organization as well. And I know that the Miss Cuba organization and other organizations as well are actively trying to get the Cuba franchise for Miss Universe. And Miss Anne did post something on her stories. Like a fan tagged her saying that they wanted Cuba to come back, that it was finally time, and she reposted that on her story. So a lot of people took it as a sign that she's not close to the idea of Cuba being there. Because for the IMG era, it was really all about politics. Like they wouldn't touch Cuba because of everything that happens in my country. But I'm crossing fingers.
So that's exciting. You have like communication with them. I mean, that's nice because we haven't had Miss Universe Cuba at all. So this is amazing.
It's
But
way
I'm
too
going to
long.
cut this one a little bit because somebody is calling me. I can't
Oh,
answer the call because I will lose you altogether. But whoever sent this, I don't know who you are. Thank you so much. Oh,
oh.
there's a name. It says Ryan Maseb. Thank you guys. That's
Sana
crazy.
all.
Sana
Just kidding.
all. Nakakatuwa. They send me coffee as if my energy isn't high enough. They send me milk tea. Ryan, maraming salamat sa'yo or kung sino ka man. Thank you so much.
That's so
All
cute.
right. I want to ask a little more about Miss Universe, by the
Yes,
way. There's
yes, go
something
for it.
going on. I'm not sure if you're familiar
Mhm.
with Miss Bolivia. So Miss Bolivia went on Instagram Live, if I'm not mistaken, and she went through the photos of the girls which are already posted on the Miss Universe app. And then, in a nutshell, she made fun of a select group of girls, and it was really nasty. And then, of course, she got really bad comments about that. And now she's
Yeah,
making a statement saying it's all a social experiment. How do you feel about this?
not a social experiment. Oh my God. Uh,
Not a social experiment at all.
okay, so
What
here's
was
the
that
thing.
all about?
Look, she tried to come up with an excuse, and she said, "You know what? I'll say anything to to make it
I was
happen." But
saying, the PR person that came up with that, I'm saying, nice try. That's really
they tried.
ballsy of you. But yeah, how do you
They deserve the
feel?
salary. Honestly, I mean, to be fully transparent, for the past 2 3 days, I haven't been keeping up with pageants at all because I've been just like sleeping and recovering. But I did see some of the comments and some of the footage of that, and I just think it's unfortunate, when you go to this particular pageant, to any pageant actually, and you're given this platform for you to use it to spread hate and and make fun of people. That just says a lot about your character, and I think that will definitely play against her in her Miss Universe competition. I don't know. I'm not sure if she was revoked the title and like someone else is gonna come go instead of her. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen, but it's such a shame. And I remember, I think it was in 2020 that we had a similar situation with Miss Russia.
Russia.
Russia,
Yes.
yes. So I mean, it's like history repeating itself. And the only thing I can say is like, girls, we need to learn from the past. When you're going to Miss Universe, study previous years, look at what the girls did that worked, what they did that didn't work, and try to incorporate those things. Because I mean, this was a no-brainer. Even if it's a social experiment, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. It was going to backfire no matter what. You don't need to like everyone, but you don't have to verbalize it and put it out there in a way that it's, you know, dismissive of others.
That was such a bad call because I don't think that such a behavior is something that you have to look into. That should be natural. You shouldn't be doing that, especially if you're competing, and especially if you're not in the level of some of these girls in terms of number one, probably facial beauty, but that's a little difficult to figure out. Number two, sash factor. I mean, I remember she said something about Miss Brazil, and I was like, girl, where are you? And where is Miss Brazil?
And one thing that we know in
So
Latin America, Brazilian fans are like they root for the queen until they die. Okay, so going against like Miss Brazil and some of the other countries, it's like that's like automatically you're putting the entire Latino fan base against yourself. So such a bad move, bad move, bad move, girl.
but more than anything else, now that we have a trans woman who will be heading Miss Universe, I mean, that doesn't give you like the best resume to present to your future boss, right? What is that all about?
It's
Stupid,
crazy.
stupid social experiment.
Do you think that she's
um,
gonna get removed, like her title revoked?
Well, it depends on how far the organization is willing to go for this story that it's a
Uh-huh.
social experiment. I mean, if they don't feel nice about that, the best way is to just really replace her because, Louise, that's going to be a lost cause. I mean, even if
Yes.
she did have a chance to enter the semifinals, it will always haunt her. And not even that, it's going to be criticism for the organization as well. So I don't think the
Mm.
organization will um gamble on that. So
Yeah, no, definitely not.
best
Especially
to
not on their
just
first
step
year.
back. Or maybe go to MGI. Why not go to MGI? They love that stuff at MGI. Don't worry, I
Start the
did not
war.
announce. We will talk about MGI because that's super fun. I'll talk more about MGI before we go to Miss Earth later on. But
Yes.
I want to read this question by Sui Luge TV. Maring Luis, Kai Kumare. Do you know what Kumare means?
Yes, we have the equivalent in Spanish is comadre for us in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Same, same.
Comadre.
All right. She's saying, give us your thoughts on married women, single parents, and trans women joining MU. I'm sure you've been getting this question a lot. I do get this too, but now is our chance. Are we on the same page? How do we feel about this?
Okay. So honestly, I feel very, very okay with it. I have no problem with it. I think that it was a change that was going to happen inevitably at the point. And I recall precisely a conversation that I had on an interview that I did for Critical Beauty Salon YouTube. And we were talking about it, like the guests were not really like for it. They thought that, maybe like the old formats was better. And this was prior to the announcement of this. And my point was that the change is necessary because society is evolving and the mentality
Right.
is evolving. And
Mm.
Miss Universe also needs to get on the right side, on the good side of a newer generation in order to stay relevant in upcoming years. Because the pageant fans from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 10,000s, those people, like over time, they will stop, supporting as much the pageant, and they still, as a business, they still need to survive. So for me, it's normal that they would adapt over time to society. I think that especially nowadays, we see so many role models on the media, CEOs that have kids and still run their business, like influencers, like TV personalities, you name it. We look at Rihanna, for example, who is having like a billion company
Luis, I
having
think I might
students.
have lost you. Oh, there. Are you there? Luis, don't
Can
leave
you see me
me.
now? Coming back.
Okay, there
Can
you go. You're back,
oh,
Luis.
okay, perfect. So yes, I think that we have so many example of women now who are doing it. Why wouldn't Miss Universe do it? If it's all about empowerment, if it's all about women being able to do whatever they want, why wouldn't be able to do it? And why wouldn't the organization support them while they do it? If they have an apartment, why can't we have a babysitter while they go to this event? Why can't they go to a public event with the child if the child is old enough to make an appearance? I don't know. Those are just questions that come to mind. So for me, it was not problematic, but I know that the reception from the audience was lukewarm.
50-50, right, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. How do you feel
All right.
about it?
Me? I'm a little old school because I've mentioned I'm a little
Yeah.
older than everyone else. So at first, uh, I really wasn't into the idea. Meaning to
Mhm.
say, if they decide to go with that, that's fine with me. If they don't, that's fine with me. But I would rather that they don't. So
Yeah.
I was a little detached to it because I felt that, after allowing a trans woman to compete, I mean, who's to say that we're limited with that? With Miss
Yeah.
Universe, once they keep something rolling, I haven't really encountered a situation wherein they got back to their previous, decision. That has never happened before. If Miss Universe says, we're going to have 10 days for the pageant, it doesn't matter whether we go nuts on social media, they're going to have 10 days. If they say they're allowing Angela Ponce to
Hmm.
compete, no matter like how loud the talks were, they allowed her. So when they rolled out the Miss Universe policy of allowing women who were married or have children, I was more like, okay, when are you gonna implement this? Because nothing
Yeah.
shocks me anymore when it comes to
Absolutely.
Miss Universe. And I get you, Miss Universe, for them to really cement their status as a trailblazer in pageantry, they really have to be the ones to make these difficult decisions.
Hmm.
So, and then the others will just follow suit. So, right now, maybe it is a bitter pill to swallow, but we're
Yeah.
fine with it. I mean, there's this Colombian, right? There's this Colombian who's currently vying for Miss Universe Colombia, Camila. Her name is Camila. She was supposed to try a few years back, but then she
Hmm.
got pregnant and
Yeah.
then she wasn't able to
She
complete
couldn't.
it. And now I'm seeing her at the screening. I don't know if she was in any way successful, but if you'll have a Miss Universe candidate that hot looking, even, as a mother, I
Mhm.
mean, go for it, right?
Exactly, exactly. I agree with you. And I'm going to say, when I give my opinion, sometimes people think that, for example, I completely disagree with like an opposite perspective. And I will say I see both side of things. And I see how for someone that has been following the pageant for a long time, this is kind of like dissolving the essence of it. Um, but I always look at things, as I've been saying, from a business perspective, from like a evolving like survival perspective as well. And I think that in the future, when the Gen Z, for example, will be like the core audience of Miss Universe, they need to cater to that audience. Because I see sometimes now interviews where the girls say, "Oh my God, we can finally, married women, divorced women, mothers can compete at Miss Universe," and the media goes like, "What? That was not allowed?" Like already outside of the pageant world, that is not normal. And if they want to
Right, right.
expand and make it like um, a successful business outside of just the community, they need to be more flexible. So that's where I'm coming from. But I see what you mean, and I completely understand the feeling of some people saying that, there's different pageants for that, but they don't want to have
Right.
different pageants. They want to be the one pageant, the most inclusive one, the most relevant one.
Just like this person, Elena Dorado, saying bitter pill to swallow. Really? Maybe just for you, Lavinia. Well, maybe for me, because I did mention I'm a pageant fan, but maybe from the older generation. So
Mhm.
changes for me are a little slower than usual. But I do know that outside your favorite pageant pages, there are definitely talks on like the future of Miss Universe, like why are they opening up like this? So Elena, I'm actually not the only one who
Yeah.
is finding this a little, harder. But maybe for me, not so much harder now because like what I mentioned earlier, nothing shocks me at Miss Universe anymore. Like a few years ago, let me tell you, in Philippine pageantry, I got into hot waters because I was really vocal about how much skin was showed in a Philippine national pageant. And we're more conservative here in the Philippines. Well, apparently, me calling out the smaller piece of fabric is no longer on trend. All of a sudden, I was the one getting called out for not being on board with the candidate wearing the skimpiest swimwear. So this was where I got the realization that, my opinions that doesn't necessarily reflect the opinions of the larger public, but I'm going to hold on to what I have because you're allowed to also say things that you want. And if you feel like going for a skimpy swimsuit for a national pageant is okay, then that's for you, but I still have a
Hmm.
platform to talk about it. And I would still
Hmm.
rather our girls look sexy, fit, but modest, or at least,
Yeah.
presentable. So, how do you feel
Yeah.
about this when people say that um, everybody is like super inclusive these days, even the way you dress for pageantry? A lot of people are saying my body, my choice when it comes to articles of clothing. Like, where do we draw the line on being really skimpy, especially for the pre pageant activities, for example?
That's a good question. I think that honestly, right now, the way that society is and works, like inclusivity allows almost anything, right? Because you can call it like female empowerment, and whatever they do, then we need to kind of like support that. But what I will say is that people are allowed to their opinions, so you don't have to like everything, you don't have to agree with everything, for as long as you are not bashing or sending hates towards someone just based on your perception of it. And I think that also goes for the people that perhaps don't like your point of view and they come against you and they give you a hard time. For me, that was a lesson that I needed to learn when I started making videos about pageants, because initially I was not used to getting the amount of hate of people not agreeing with my comments, not agreeing with my picks or whatever. If I put a Filipina, then other countries are mad. If I don't put a Filipina, then Filipinos are mad. So it's like you never win. what you what I came to a realization is that when you are in a position like a pageant blogger and you make content about pageants, your job is to give your opinion. You're not there to validate other people's feelings. They have to come, take the information that they want to take from it, and use it how they want to do it. If that validates their feelings, that's great. If it doesn't, then they can use that and say, "Oh, I don't agree with him because this and this and this." But you're not there to make them feel like, "Hey, you are absolutely right. Everything that you feel is okay in the world." No, I'm here to give you my
Yeah, we
opinion,
babysit
like it or not.
everyone.
Hmm.
True,
Yeah.
true. All right. Miss Earth has been doing this scheme for quite some time. Miss Grand International has been doing this as well. But Marco Paulo Mendoza is also saying Tita and Luis giving a job for the runners up in MU 2022 is long overdue. Ooh,
Mm.
alarm. I'm very happy to see not just one but three women being the face of the organization. Is it long overdue? I mean, this is a practice we've seen at both Miss Grand and Miss Earth whenever they would travel. Usually they would pick like maybe the first runner up or the second runner up. How do you feel now that they will have a larger role for the runners up?
I think it's a smart move, once again, from a business perspective, because with the previous format, if we make the comparison to Miss Grand, previous format, they only had the winner doing like most of the work, and therefore that's like a limited, um, option for sponsors. Now, by having other women, not only they talk about the growth in the pageant, like even like financial growth of the pageant, because now they have more budget, they can do more activities and stuff, but they can also have other girls that can be catered to potential sponsors and people that might work with the organization. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this go a little bit more the route of not the influencer way, but like the girls getting the type of brands and deals that like big influencers do. Because what brand wouldn't want to work with a woman that is not only beautiful but also empowered, who works for their community? And that's also why they are making the pageant more inclusive, because it's not just about the girls, it's about making sure that the brands who are also very woke and very uh, inclusive also feel comfortable working with the organization. So I think it's good, and we're gonna see more of that.
I want to ruffle feathers a little bit about
Do it.
this new thing that they want the runners up. I mean, let's play the devil's advocate here because a lot of people are actually saying that in terms of like sponsors or like appearances, maybe Harnaz was not like the best uh spokesperson at Miss Universe because we weren't seeing an influx of like brands coming in for Harness. Like, could this policy have been rolled out because they weren't really getting a lot of like returns from the likes of Harness, and maybe the two runner up policy could maybe
Mm,
be like a safety net to, I don't know, catch potential endorsements or
mhm,
appearances. Could that be it? I mean, just in case the winner
mm.
doesn't deliver. I'm not saying she doesn't, but just in
Yeah,
case.
yeah, yeah. No, I feel what you're coming from. It might be a possibility. There might be an aspect of that, but I also think that, for example, with her last year, it was very interesting because a lot of people look at her now and they comment about her appearance and whatever and what's or not. But what they don't remember is, like, if you go back to those days of Miss Universe last year, most people saw her as a winner.
Yeah,
Most people,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, like people didn't question, like, oh my God, she is, deserving of this, or was the pageant rigged whatsoever. When she won, everyone was on the same page. And yes, of course, they were like the supporters of Nadia and South Africa, and everyone wanted, those countries as well. But the consensus was that India was deserving. The problem with Harnas started when the physical image started to change, and that's when people started to get alienated. And I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that says a lot about, the mentality of the pageants and the pageant fans and the community. They were not ready. And in a way, I think that if you remember last year with Anjali from Thailand, who was promoting the body positivity movement, I think that in a way, that was put on Harna's shoulders without her asking for it. Just because of her change of appearance, I think that Harnaz is taking the heat that maybe someone like Anjali would have taken if she was to be crowned that year. Um, so does that answer your question? I talk a
I
lot.
think so. Well, I guess with Harnas, well, sensitivity definitely has to be exercised. It's just that there is also that fact that yeah, once she started changing the appearance, because that wasn't her campaign when she um joined Miss Universe, but
Mhm,
people don't seem to like that, like switching or like defending any changes that happen in between. So I feel like with this policy of having more roles be given to the runners up, I think that's like a safety measure, just in, I don't know, I'm just saying, just in case we get another we get into another situation wherein we have a winner who just physically changes. And I
Mm,
guess also, Louise, because is now a possibility of allowing married women with children, and what if they're needed for their family thing, they probably need like substitutes or alternates for her. And who
mhm.
else would it be than her two runners up? I think
That's a very good
ultimately
point. I
that's
didn't think of
why.
that, but
Yeah,
that makes absolute sense.
makes
Absolutely.
sense, no? Diba?
Yes.
All right. I want to say hello to President Nina, who is watching from Abu Dhabi. Vamos, Checo. She says that she is watching the F1 race in Abu Dhabi as well. Ayan.
Oh.
All right. Before I wrap our Miss Universe conversation, because I want to also get into a little bit of Miss Grand and maybe a lot of Miss Earth, I want to ask you about maybe some of your favorites, because I want to learn about names that aren't like really part of the powerhouse or like the Sash
Mhm.
Factor roster. Because now that you're super involved in Miss Universe, like, do you have like other favorites that are out of the box for this
I
edition?
would
Because
say
I'm
so.
seeing so many beautiful ones. This edition is crazy.
It's crazy, right? In terms of visibility and facial features and just like overall quality of women, it's incredible. But I would say out of the powerhouses, so I had the opportunity to exchange one-on-one with Miss Mauritius, who also
Oh,
represented Mauritius at Miss Supra. Lovely, lovely woman. I think that she might be able to obtain a placement for Mauritius after forever.
okay.
So very beautiful. Who else? I really, really like. I mean, I think can we consider Brazil to be a powerhouse? I really like the candidate this year for Brazil. I think that she's a complete package, and her communication is out of this world. Um, who else? Which other of the ladies? Hmm, some of them in Latin America for sure. I
What
mean,
about the usuals, like the Colombias and the Venezuelas? Are they in your radar this year?
yes, in the beginning, I was looking into them, but someone that has really grown on me from the Latina side,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Venezuela. Venezuela. I think that Amanda is just stunning, and I've been following this series of videos on YouTube. It's in Spanish, but it's a very famous Spanish YouTuber. He does like interviews with like personalities, and he did an entire series of interviews with Miss Venezuela queens, not just the reigning one, but previous ones as well.
Mhm.
And you can see like Amanda has something that she stands out in the crowd. So I think that I really like her, and I see her as a potential winner. But she's also so young, so I don't know if that's what the organization is looking for, but the potential is there. Ashley Cariño from Puerto Rico,
Puerto Rico.
mm,
The bio
front
is
runner.
crazy.
Is in crazy. It's crazy.
Super
My only
smart.
concern with Ashley, I don't know if maybe it's just my algorithm on my social media or something, but I haven't been seeing as much of her as before. Initially,
Me
it was like
too.
bombarded. Everything was there.
Right,
Now it's like,
right.
where is she?
Maybe they're gaining
Where did she go?
momentum.
Maybe. I hope it's a calculated strategy for her. So that's my wish. But other than that, who else? Ba, 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 ba. Remind me, send me some names so that the idea come out because
Um, what about Italy? A lot of people are talking about Italy.
oh,
Are
oh.
you familiar with Miss Italy? What about
I haven't I haven't done so much my assessment about Italy just yet. I did watch some of her videos and her photos. Stunning, but for me to have like a full opinion, I need to watch at least like a few interviews and like watch, all of those things. But honestly, beautiful woman, and I see why people are so happy about her.
what else? Talk about Indonesia as well. Indonesia is very well spoken. Maybe a little 50-50 with the styling, but she was styled by Filipino stylists not too long ago, and we saw
Mhm.
potential in her. Any buzz about her in terms of like the Indonesian candidates that were sent in the past?
Yes, absolutely. So I feel like in Indonesia, very solid. As you said, I feel like right now it's like 50-50. The styling sometimes can be a little shaky. But I have a similar feeling with Indonesia as I had with Puerto Rico, in the sense that I'm not seeing as much on my lines, and I don't necessarily go like out of my way to look for them. I just, I follow a bunch of pageant pages and stuff, so I expect things to come to me. And when I'm doing my assessment, then I go and like look for myself. But um, I haven't been seeing as much of her, so I think that I don't know if once again this is like strategy, but new girls are coming out, strong girls are coming out, and the girls who have like the strong sash factor, they need to make sure that they also live up to that sash factor. It's not just about having the name on your across your chest. You have to stand out for a reason.
All right. So Asher is mentioning Bhutan. Now I'm not so sure if you're familiar with her. This is their first edition to join Miss Universe. I've seen clips of her Q&A. She was fantastic in it, and she kind of reminded me of Sarita Ret of Cambodia not too long ago when it came to confidence and comm skills. How do you feel? Do you think that we can gamble on a country that's totally unheard of?
I think there's nothing wrong with that, and I feel like at the end of the day, that should be the promise of Miss Universe and any pageant, to have that neutrality, that it doesn't matter how big or small your country is. If the girl is worthy, that they will give her a chance to, have the crown. Otherwise, it will be kind of rigged. It will be kind of sad to know that just because you're a small country, you cannot really aspire to win. I don't see why people would pay a franchise fee for that if they know that they're not going to win. So if the candidate is eloquent, if she's beautiful, if she's ready to put in the work, by all means, give it to her. I'm not super familiar with her, but yes, I think that overall, you should have the chance to win if you deliver what they want.
Actually, right after this, I think I'm gonna check her out more because I was really blown away with how confident she was during Q&A, but I want to see if there's more that we can dig through.
Mm.
All right, this one is very interesting. This will be my last question concerning Miss Universe, but it seems that, well, let me just give you a little bit of context. So I was able
Mhm.
to speak to this person, and I figured out that there's a little bit of a difference, a huge difference actually, with the way she's been training. Because here in the Philippines, as well as the other countries in Southeast Asia, and I'm sure in the Latin American countries, like we're very keen on training as like a well-oiled machine. We have trainers for like everything from personality development to pasarela. But I heard from Alicia Faubel of España, she has a very minimalistic approach to training. She just has one point person to, train her with everything, with hair, makeup, and then she outsources the rest of them with Filipino trainers as well. But it's a very tight, something that I haven't really encountered before, because with Catriona, she didn't exactly have a camp. She was alone, yes, but she had
Mhm.
handpicked group of people to help her out. So the
Mm.
the Spanish training is a little different from where we are. How do you feel about this? Will she succeed?
I think that she's going to succeed, Tita. First of all, I just want to say hello to my friend Joseph here in the house with us. Also, my friend.
Hi,
I
hi.
actually met Joseph. We went for coffee with his husband in Montreal, so we had a lovely conversation.
Yan naman
Uh,
pala.
yes. So I'm going to say, when it comes to Alicia, I follow her national pageant. I followed closely Miss Universe Spain because I was helping Paula Ortega with her Q&A, her Spanish Q&A. So I was part of the team. Let's call it that way.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, so I was
Wow.
really in. We all saw like Alicia coming. We knew who were like the girls who might be a threat during finals nights, and of course, Alicia. Just look at her beauty. I think that Alicia has something very strong, and that is she has. First of all, I mean, she's beautiful like a goddess, of course, but she has
She's
such a likable personality. She's so relatable,
spunky too, right?
sparkly, sparkly. You want more. You don't
True.
you don't get enough of her. Now, the skills at the pasarela and all of that in the beginning, back in the national pageant, It was shaky, but I think that she has been training on it. She released a video recently of her walking
Yes,
and
with
it has
Ian,
evolved.
yes.
It has
Yeah,
enhanced a lot.
I
So I think
agree
that
with
if she
you.
continues working on that with her personality, if she works on the advocacy, she will be able to go far in the competition, hopefully. Yeah.
All right. So we have more to talk about because I told my followers that I'm going to give them a treat come pageant season, Miss Universe season. I don't know if it's still going to be for 10 days or if they're going to extend that, but I did promise them on going live every day for 10 days. So I've
Uh-oh.
been gathering strength for that. So don't worry, guys, if we don't or if we stop our Miss Universe conversation here because
Yes.
there are still pageants that are happening and I still want to listen to Luis about his thoughts. I know he's very sleepy, but I'm going to push for this even further so that he can have like his best sleep. Before that, I totally forgot Arbany. How do you feel about Arbany? Because we haven't had a
I
Miss
love her.
Universe from the USA for quite some time.
Yes, honestly, I love her. I like everything about her. I don't know how the entire like the controversy about the pageant and all of that is going to affect her. Hopefully, it
Think
doesn't.
it's still
Yeah,
part of the narrative. I mean, I'm not hearing a lot of it right now.
yeah,
Are you?
exactly. We had like the same thing. No, I don't hear about it anymore. And we had that last year, and the girl still went far in the competition, right? So that's okay. But I love her. I feel like she's like a breath of fresh air. The beauty, the preparation, the fact that she also has like a cultural mix. I like that when it comes to, candidates because it's more interesting. It's not just like, plain. And the fact that she has also embraced so much the Filipino community. I feel like sometimes she's almost like carrying herself as a Miss Philippines rather than a Miss
True.
USA. But yeah, it's very interesting to follow her.
All right. Well, you know what? We have a regular here at the Tita Lavinia channel every Sunday, and he recently coined like a 73 question type of questions, and
Uh-oh.
he gave me a list of 10 questions. I think that this will be perfect to get to know you more. So I'm going to ask these questions before I delve into a little bit of Miss Grand and a lot about Miss Earth. I'm going to maximize your time and make you work hard so that you can sleep even better. This
Let's
one
do
is
it.
coming from Mambabalot Scott Chemist. We don't have to be rocket scientists to answer these questions, but I'd like to know about your answer first before I give mine.
Mhm.
Louise, what book are you reading right now? Or the last
Mm,
book that you read?
the last
If
book that
you
I
are.
read.
Mhm.
Okay, so the last book that I read, I mean, that I'm currently reading, it's called um, The Moment of Now, something like that. I still have it. I have it in my bag, literally next to me.
Oh,
This
so you
was
brought the
my,
book.
yes, this was my airplane reading when I was
Wow.
coming here. Wait, I forget the title because I was so sleepy. I promise you guys, I do read, huh? There you go. So this is the one. The power of now, and it's supposed to be really about how to ground yourself and live your life in the present rather than thinking of everything in the future or everything in the past. So I'm getting into those type of things, like a little bit of spirituality and like just coming to senses and all. So I recommend it so far. I'm only on page 20, but
Ah,
it's
Eckhart
really good so far.
Tolle. Okay, okay. All right.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of gives you a glimpse of where we are intellectually. Because if I were to answer this question, my book is super shallow. The last book that I read, because I'm not currently reading anything right now, but the last book I read was Sex and Vanity by Kevin Kwan. So this is the same guy who wrote Crazy Rich Asians. So yeah. Luis, are you still there? Luis, are you still there? Where might you be? Luis, Luis. Antayin natin si... Oh,
Can you
there
hear me?
you go. There you go.
Oh,
There you go.
sorry,
All
bro. I had
right.
a I had a call come in. I'm just gonna put myself
Ay,
on do not
sweet. So
disturb.
that's what happens when you get a call.
Yeah, I go
Okay,
away.
I didn't know. All right. Nako, si Lane Mendoza. Oh my God, what happened to Luis?
That's my friend Lane. She even sent me like the top up for my data. She was like, just in case your data goes out.
Oh, that's why she was asking what was your number. Come on, Lane. Shh, Luis, he needs this. Okay, moving on. Luis, historical figure you want to have coffee with.
Oh, that's an easy answer for me. And a lot of people might not agree or might see why, but I'm a Madonna stan. I want to have a
Oh,
meeting with Madonna,
Madonna.
and yes, I would love that.
Ako naman, I will flex my Cuban connection
Mm,
because there is love for this Cuban icon who happens to be Argentinian born. So, of course, there are
and Che Guevara.
conflicting opinions about Che Guevara. I am a huge, crazy, crazy huge fan. In fact, I stole my kuya's book and I did not return it to him for like more than 10 years and he still remembers it. And then when he invited me back to his house, the first thing he said to me, "Where's my Che Guevara book?" So I gave him back the Che Guevara book. And
Oo.
yeah, this is the Cuban connection for you guys who aren't very familiar. One of the things that bonded us together was because I've always been really into Cuban history and then uh, the guerrilla wars because I was really into that. My cousin, my kuya, or like my older brother, I call it. He's a war enthusiast, and he's very active with like museum work and then archives about the
Mhm.
Philippine War, Cuban War, and then he's also a consultant at some of these museums. That's why I grew up watching a lot of these like Cuban series, and one of his son is named Antonio Cienfuegos
Oo.
from one of the
One of the
from
provinces.
one of the heroes, or like one of the character, no, not character, like one of the key personalities in Fidel Castro's government. So that's how crazy
Yes.
we are. Our names are Antonio Cienfuegos.
We
So
have that
yeah.
in common. Like we have a lot of things in common. I feel like when people, okay, for the viewers, if you're not familiar a lot at all with Cuba and the history, just go and do a little research and you will be surprised at how many things we have in common.
Sugar for one, because I come from a province where we grow sugarcane, so I
Yeah,
think the shared history is really there, and how the sugarcane farmers came to that
yeah.
whole drama. So there, for me, it's Che Guevara. I think you will have a more difficult time with the next question, Luis, because if the first one was to have coffee with, question number three is going to ask you, which figure would you want to have cocktails with?
Ah, oh.
Madonna?
Okay,
Huh? You
wait.
answered
Can
Madonna
I change my
already.
answer? Like, I
See?
would rather have cocktails with Madonna.
See? You can
Mm,
switch it up.
yes. Okay, so I would say, who do I want to have cocktails with? Someone fun. Cocktails needs to be
Right.
spicy.
Right.
Mm, okay, so I'm going to say, that's a good question, Tita.
Di ba nga? Thank you so much, Mambabalot Chemist Scott.
Who would I have cocktails with? Okay, so I went for entertainment in the first question. Let me go more for history now. I will have cocktails with Nelson Mandela, just an incredible
Cocktails with
man.
Nelson Mandela. I wonder what he'd order.
That will be an interesting one,
Probably
wouldn't
something more
it
traditional or like something.
be?
Mr. Rene is saying these are tricky pageant questions. I think this is. Can you imagine, like, if you're given 30 seconds and, these are easy questions and how, like, blank everything is with, easy questions like
It's
this?
crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how the girls do it. This is also my preparation for Mr. Supranational now.
Yes, later pa supranational tayo. All right, so it's Nelson Mandela for you. Cocktails for me. I'm going to go for someone really fun. Um, so fun indeed that you could lose your head just because of your association with her. I'm thinking Marie Antoinette. I'm thinking the whole, pastel cocktail setup with
Mm.
tiny pistachio
Ah.
pastries. So I'm thinking the whole Marie Antoinette let them eat cake moment. Yes.
Iconic.
According to Brie, I will order a Negroni spagliato with prosecco in it. So there. All
Delicious.
right. Luis, because everybody is like really into your skincare. They made sure that I ask you about your skincare. So I don't know if skincare will have something to do with this next question. Somebody is asking, what's one thing you can't live without?
Moisturizer. I
Ah,
truly cannot live with moisturizer. I have my skincare has easily 20 steps, but I don't
this
always I don't always do all the
habits.
20. If I have to do skincare, I give me at least moisturizer and I will be happy. But I'd say like something very important, especially now that I'm here in the Philippines, is gonna be sunscreen. In Canada, it's important, but it's so cold that the sun is not as strong. But when I go to tropical weather, sunscreen is a must, guys. And a lot of us are just ignoring it, and it shows. So we got to get into the sunscreen.
All right. So me, like I'm very like simple with a lot of things. I'm thinking water. Like I'm gonna go nuts
Mm,
if we don't have running water. I don't know how it is with you guys in Cuba because I feel like it's hotter, but in the Philippines we're like super crazy about not being able to take a bath. Like that's our worst nightmare, I think. So
yes,
water for like everything. I don't know, because if you can't eat, you have water, you'll still survive at least for a few more days. So I'm thinking water
exactly.
only because I have a lot of cats. That's really vital. Who's taking care of your cat?
Oh, okay. So my cat is not my cat per se. It's my
Okay.
neighbor's cat, but the cat
Oh,
is
I
very,
see.
very familiar with me, and I'm very friendly with my neighbor. So he allows it to come to my place, and the cat stays with me sometimes. But it's not my cat per se. But I miss her as if she was
Oh,
mine.
I thought that was your cat. So
No,
yeah,
only my
if you will
heart.
have cats as many as I do, because I have 16, water will definitely be vital. All
But
right.
in the building where I live, there are like
Mhm.
four cats on the same floor, and all of them come to my place. So I'm a cat person. I just don't own a cat.
Luis, same with me. I had my hair done a few days ago, and while I was waiting for my ride, I documented it on IG stories. And there was this mama cat who brought along her baby cat with me, and I was like, "These folks, they know their cat ladies. I mean, they know exactly who to turn to. Maybe they can smell me." So yeah. All right.
It's the aura.
Moving on. Ooh, this one I want to learn more about. What was your first job, Louise?
My first job. My first job was working at Domino's Pizza. Do you guys have Domino's
Cute.
here in the Philippines?
We do. In fact, we have one nearby, like just a
Oh,
few
oh,
blocks away. Yeah.
okay. So my first job was at Domino's Pizza, and I worked there for 7 years. And I went from being the cashier to being the store manager.
Mm,
In those 7 years. And honestly, it was like my student job in Canada. You get like, while you studied, you get like a side hustle type of thing to pay for your studies and finance your things. So that was my job. And honestly, I had the best time at Domino's.
cute, cute. All right. My first job, I was a front desk receptionist for a tech company. So I had
Oh.
a German boss, and I never get concerned or afraid or anything, but he was really very intimidating, and I wasn't intimidated. So that probably says something about my personality. So yeah,
Diba?
it made me feel like a working girl because I was working in the financial district. I hated it because they would have political rallies in that area, and then they would close all the roads, and I was like, I want to go
Mm.
home. I don't want to stay here. So that was my first job. I don't know how I got into it. I'm so afraid of technology, but yeah, the German was no match for me. Oh, this one is interesting only because I don't think I have one, but let's see with you. Who's your favorite superhero?
Huh. I'm not really like a superhero person, to be honest.
Me too.
Um, I feel like maybe growing up, I would watch more often like the Spider-Man movies, but that's something that stayed really in my childhood. Like I never moved on with superheroes movies or anything like that. Like Marvel, they have like such hype around them. I don't watch Marvel movies or anything. So we have that in
Well,
common, maybe.
we, yeah, we have this in common. I mean, I tried my damn hardest to be like on top of
Mm.
the superhero list. I mean, I managed to just um push for what was that? Gosh, the one with white hair,
Oh,
Halle
oh,
Berry, Storm,
yeah, Storm
Storm. So yeah, I went as
in the
far as
X-Men,
Storm,
right?
but
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm more like a Ghibli type of person. So I'm more into the vampires and I'm more into the
Mm.
literature. So sorry about this. What about question number 7? What advice will you give to your younger self? Ano naman to? Pang beauty queen, pang Miss Universe.
Mm. My advice to my younger self would be chill. Just chill. Take everything slowly because those who know me like personally know how much of a control freak I am in the sense that I like to be on top of everything. I like to be in control of my things, right? And sometimes that can reflect into like unhealthy like lifestyle, like just focusing on work or just focusing on my channel or just focusing on neglecting everything else like friends, family, me time, self-care,
Oh,
just to make sure that I accomplish everything that I have set for myself. So I think that sometimes it's a good reminder that you also deserve, to take care of yourself and to invest time on yourself. So that's something that I'm learning.
wow. So all over the place for a younger Louise then.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Diba?
All right. What advice would I give to myself? Because I didn't really feel like I matured. I feel like my age just advanced in like digits, literally like the number, but nothing really changed. So
Mhm,
maybe only because I'm kind of having a hard time right now, I would have really advised my younger self to, go easy with the job hopping because it's going to be difficult with your resume, especially at around the time you want to get a house and you're
mhm,
trying to consolidate everything and you can't
mhm.
remember all the jobs that you went to. So, yeah, I'm just gonna give myself advice to just come on, stay for like a year or two. Don't hop too much. So there you go.
I am on the other
All
opposite
right.
of that. I stay too long with jobs.
You're like my boyfriend, Ron. My boyfriend, he stays like in one job for like a decade until
Yes.
everybody's.
Yeah,
I hope that
that's
he
also
gets to own the
me.
company one of these days. But anyway,
Please.
um, Luis, can you give us your role models or model while growing up?
Mm, I mean, I feel like growing up, I would always take a lot of inspiration in like pop culture, honestly. So my
Mm-hmm.
role models were my pop stars and the music and the people that I was like following in that way. Looking back into it was maybe not the most like obvious thing because obviously all of those people also have made mistakes and all of that, but I was just really obsessed with that world growing up with the entertainment industry. So I think that perhaps in a way like people like I just mentioned earlier like Madonna, in the way that she was so fearless, like she was so outspoken about everything, like she was not scared of like whatever people would say or how they would react. Those things inspired me, and especially as a young gay boy growing up in Cuba, I felt very challenged by society, and I used to take some inspiration in that strength, in that empowerment, and try to apply it to myself. But I think that growing older, looking more into like actual like role models, people who have done like exceptional things with their lives. I mentioned Nelson Mandela. I mentioned who else can we talk about? Mm. No, no one is coming to mind.
Madonna lang talaga.
Madonna lang talaga. One thing about me, I'm a Madonna stan. If she has one fan, it's me. If she has zero fans, I'm dead, okay?
What's your favorite Madonna song? Because I had like a Madonna moment a few days ago, and I went
Oh,
back to like a prayer type Madonna. Like, what was your favorite
yes.
Madonna?
I think it's like a prayer is like the classic, the obvious one. But it really depends of the mood because each album is so different.
Wow,
So I just
mood.
go, uh-huh, uh-huh. When I'm feeling emotera, I go for certain albums. When I'm very happy, I go for another one.
When you're cleaning your room or when you're doing like deep cleaning,
Deep
what
cleaning.
Madonna music do you listen to?
I get the celebration compilation album, and you get like the best of all of the decades. You get all of it.
Oh my gosh, Madonna sa'yo. Ako naman, my fashion icon. Gosh, I grew up with very elegant women, women from a generation from like the 50s and the 60s. So we had a lot of like Vogue magazines in the house. So I think more than anybody else, I was really drawn to Coco Chanel. Um,
Oh,
Let me tell you a little bit of a story. Because I don't know. Well, I grew up really poor. Well, not really, because I had family which were pretty well off. But from where I was growing up, my mom and my dad, we were really, really poor. So there was this one year that they enrolled me in a public school. Oh, where were you? Ah, there. Ayan, ayan.
oh, I lost you for a second. I'm back.
Ah, there. Oh, you're here. Ah, there. All right. So okay, so there. But I was also the favorite in my household, the one who were really well off. And my older cousins would always fix me up, would always put makeup on me, would always make jewelry out of costume jewelry that were already broken. And one of my cousins worked as a newscaster on the night TV. So she had so many different accessories, and then some of them were from Chanel, from her suitors. So
Mhm.
whenever she would break some of her accessories, she would fashion like bracelets for me. So I entered the public school and I was so confused because the public school had so many poor children. They didn't have shoes on and I was looking at them. I think I was one of the kids in the public school who had a complete uniform, and I had a really chunky chain of bracelet, and the kids who looked like they haven't eaten, they were looking at me and they were saying, "What's that?" And I was so arrogant because I didn't want to be in that situation. I told the kid, "You don't know Chanel? This is Coco Chanel."
Ah!
My dad got so angry. He beat me up with slippers and the belt, and I was crying the whole time. And it was a lesson in humility, but I didn't know. I thought that everybody knew Chanel. That's why I was so confused when I was in that like assembly line and there were kids trying to like touch my bracelet. And so I think every time I see Chanel, because I don't really buy that, but I
Yes.
did receive a gift last year, like a lipstick from Chanel, and I had like a ribbon and everything. I was like, look how
Oh.
far we've gone. Now we have the real Chanel.
It's a full circle moment.
Right, right, right. All right.
That's so
My
cute.
last question for you is, who's the most stylish person that you know? Living?
Madonna, just kidding.
Madonna pa rin.
Someone that I really look up to in terms of style. And I freaked out because recently she went to Montreal and I was not able to go see her because the tickets were so expensive. Oh my God. But so Naomi Campbell. I think that Naomi Campbell is such like a just like an incredible iconic woman, like her moments in fashion, her story, her life, everything is so interesting about her. I'm fascinated by her. Um, and as I was telling you, I'm a huge like pop culture fan, so I feel like she expanded beyond the fashion world and became like a pop figure. Um, So yes, in terms of style, I think that Naomi has done incredible things. What about you, Tita?
That's great. I mean, that's a great way to wrap this one up before I go ahead and move a little to Miss Earth. But for me, it's just pretty sad because she had such a short life. But I think that she would have done really amazing things in fashion. Because I grew up in the 90s where everything is just so colorful. This was a pretty good contrast. She was 90s minimalism personified. I am talking about Carolyn Bissette Kennedy because I was really
Mm,
into her blacks and camels and crisp whites. So yeah, I was really into that. All right,
beautiful.
so Mambabalot ka, Miss Scott. I hope we answered all of your questions. Don't worry, Louise. I have 20 minutes on you. Let's talk quickly about Miss Earth this time. Miss Earth
Let's do it.
Cuba is doing crazy, crazy well. Where has Miss Cuba been all this time?
Oh my God. I must say, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with Miss Earth Cuba this year. I had the opportunity to interview her for my channel before the pageant started, and I already
Mm-hmm.
knew like she was going to be amazing. I didn't know if she was going to get the recognition because, as we've been, talking about, sometimes the such factors might have a weight on them, and Cuba does not have that such factor just yet. But I went into the competition confident, knowing that our candidate was going to represent us fairly, even if she wouldn't be recognized. So I'm really happy to see that she is indeed getting the recognition. She's getting a lot of love and support from the fans as well. So I can only say my heart is like overflowing with joy. And since I was traveling for the past few days, wasn't keeping up with the badges, I literally just opened my like apps and stuff to double check the informations a few hours before this live stream, and I saw that she has been winning and she has been,
Right,
it's like I'm so
right.
happy, so happy, so
We're
proud.
really very
Shayla, if you're
happy.
watching, un besote muy
Shayla,
grande.
hello. But doesn't that amaze you though? Because even if there isn't such a strong PR machinery attached to Miss Cuba or anybody for that matter, like for example, Miss Nigeria, who I know is also gaining momentum in this competition. Like a lot of the pageant fans are pretty much wired to each other. Like they don't really have to check on social media on who's doing the most campaign, but they seem to have the same thinking on who's rising to the top. Because if I ask you, I ask myself, I ask the others, we'd come up with the same group of girls, which means they're doing pretty well even without the aggressive campaign on social media.
Mm,
Do you feel
yes,
this way?
absolutely. I think that, sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, okay.
do you have
Yes.
like the same observation?
Yes, I feel like for a lot of us pageant fans, we have access to the same informations, like whether we go on the girl social media, we look what they're doing, we look at what the organizations are posting, international and national organizations, and that's how we kind of like build our ideas around the candidates. So I feel like that's why sometimes we have so like our ideas can be so cohesive. Um, I feel like the pageant vloggers and those of us who do interviews and stuff, sometimes we have a little privilege because we get to talk to them one on one, and also sometimes you
Mhm.
get to see a little bit of behind the scenes. I don't know about you, Tita, but when I go live with someone or I do an interview, I normally have at least like a 10-minute conversation with them before we go live, sometimes even after. So you get to have like a sense of who is actually genuine and who is putting up a mask before you go live. Um, so I think that the fans can also detect that. And at the end of the day, most people are looking not just for a beautiful candidate, but for a genuine candidate. And you can feel that. It's something um, that you cannot just create and put up. You need to be a genuine person for people to feel that way about you.
Well, Luis, you've been a pageant vlogger for quite some time, so you have an idea as to what MGI can offer. Of course, in terms of production, in terms of like exposure, opportunities, even events. Now, it is inevitable for MGI folks to go head to head with the supporters of Miss Earth, and now, of course, I am understanding more how low key Miss Earth is. I mean, I think that we sound like a broken record in, telling Miss Earth to improve on their production, improve on like HD cameras and things like that. But I think it's making more sense now because this batch, Louise, I just figured out they're more vocal in defending Miss Earth. Unlike the other batches where the pageant fans would usually do a lot of the talking. The girls right now are taking to social
Yeah.
media. They're giving us a glimpse of what is actually happening through their perspective, and they seem to be on the same page when it comes to like simplifying their accommodations, on recognizing the warmth of the people amidst the heavy rains. Because I don't know, you guys are coming here in the middle of, I don't know, of this crazy rainy season, which isn't supposed to be, or supposed to be done with that. But what are your thoughts when the girls dispatch, they really utilize social media in giving us an idea, this is Miss Earth, we know what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's so important for the girls to take ownership of the narrative of Miss Earth, because I feel like Miss Earth is kind of like in the pageantry world, it's kind of like the easy target to make fun of because they've been doing virtual activities for 2 years now because of, as you said, sometimes the production is not as high value as some of the other pageants. But at the end of the day, it's a pageant that is really advocacy based. So even if the show is not the greatest one, or the quality of the cameras is not like the most HD 4K quality, they still deliver at the end of the day on what they expect from the queen and what they believe in terms of advocacy. I believe that Destiny last year, our reigning Miss Earth, is one of the most traveled queens out of the entire batch. You know,
Right.
even though Miss Earth is not the biggest or the most profitable pageant. I also think that there's a lot of comparisons going on between MGI and Miss Earth because of the history of the organizations and like the dynamic between Nawad and Miss Earth. But simultaneously, I also invite the fans to think about, something that I've been mentioning so often, the business part of it. We as pageant fans, we always ask for, oh, can we get a better production? Can we get like better this, better lighting, better stage, better that? But all of that comes with a cost as well. And we don't know necessarily how, like financially speaking, they can afford those things, especially after 2 years of doing most virtual activities, how that has affected the relationship with the sponsors and the type of deals that they might be getting. So for me, I think that Miss Earth as an organization can only do so much. So it's important that the girls are speaking up. I saw something that you shared. People were complaining about the room, and then the girls came out and said, like, hey, we're okay with this. Like, we are fine because this is like eco-friendly. This is something that we actually
Okay.
support.
Yeah.
So people should stop talking on their behalf and just allow the candidates to say, if they have to complain about something, they will complain. So just let them do the work.
And I think the Filipino fans right now who have been very critical about the gloss factor, I think that of all the years of Miss Earth, this is the only year that they've really started to understand that it really isn't going to be as glossy. They're never, well, not naman never, but as for now, they're so far away from getting head to head with maybe the equipment that are
Mhm.
at Miss Grand International's disposal. But the
Yeah.
little things that we've been offering them, like the welcome, the amount of people who are there to enthusiastically meet them. I don't know, Louise, how did you feel though when you step out of the airport, and then I maybe it was a joke to like welcome you that way, but I'm trying to put myself in a perspective of like, what about you, a foreigner coming to the Philippines? These are your friends.
Mhm.
What more if they were people that, you know, have no connection with you and you're gonna be greeted that way? Like, how did it feel for you?
It was truly overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie, like because it's, I mean, just to be honest, to be frank, for me, the people who came to greet me at the airport were my friends. So these people, I knew them. I was talking to them for years at this point because I kept my travel here secret. I didn't want to talk about it until I was here because the previous two times that I attempted to come, I talked about it, people had expectations, and then I was unable to.
And
I
then
didn't
you
want to
did
go
make
through
it,
that.
yeah.
Exactly. So I wanted to make sure that, I'm gonna be there when I talk when I say that I'm in the Philippines. So the people who came were my friends. But even if like you have that friendship bond with them, it's still overwhelming to see that people will show up at the airport, that they will, take you in, that they would come up with an entire banner. I mean, the planification. Some of my friends had to travel over 2 hours to get to Manila and get to the airport just for that. Um, and you really appreciate that. So imagine for someone who is coming new to the country. I mean,
Right,
it's my
right.
first time in the Philippines, but I'm so like immersed in the culture and the people that for me it was like like I had a lot of expectations and idea of preconceived notions of what would I would get. But someone who is coming to the Philippines who is not as familiar, and suddenly there's like a bunch of people greeting you and like supporting you and shouting your
Mhm.
name and asking you for autographs and pictures, that might be like so overwhelming. Yeah.
I suppose so, because I was also checking the socials of the other girls, like Miss Brazil, for example, who may have similarities with our language. Maybe some Portuguese words are very similar to Spanish, but I remember they
Yeah.
went to Zamboanga, where they spoke like a different type of Spanish, like broken
Yeah.
Spanish. But
Yeah.
if some folks in Zamboanga took the time to learn some Portuguese words, or
Mhm.
maybe an African delegate coming in and then having been approached by someone who knows a little bit about your African country, I mean, I'm sure that's gonna leave such an impact. That's why we probably don't realize it, that everybody at Miss Earth seemed to really appreciate all the little things about the human connection that goes with the pageant. So we haven't had that for 2 years at Miss Earth.
Yeah.
So um, do you think that even with Miss Earth lacking in all that glossy factor, uh, do you think that they can still hold on to their position, even if the types of, let's say, Miss Grand, now we have something new, Miss Charm, which is a Vietnam
Vietnam.
based pageant, is
Mhm.
also in position. Do you think that they can hold on to their position?
I think they can hold on to their position because of how relevant the pageant is
Mm-hmm.
in terms of advocacy in that sense. I think that Miss Earth is struggling to adapt to the social media era. And although that's a
Mm-hmm.
little, controversial because they are so much online, they have such a strong presence online, the engagement doesn't translate just yet. So I think that they need to adapt perhaps like the format of the videos just to make it more interactive, more, planned, and also in terms of the actual activities, the competitions, the type of materials that they put out there, to be more accessible to people. Because the reality is that Miss Earth is very relevant, but sometimes we're talking about like climate change, and we're talking about subjects that not everyone understands or not everyone is interested in, and it's not easily accessible for everyone because we don't have all the same background, same education level, whatever. So like sometimes it's more difficult to access certain topics. um, so I think that is the challenge with Miss Earth. They need to find a way that, for example, MGI, if you like the show, if you like extravaganza, you're going to enjoy it because it's
Right. You
glamorous. The
watch
girls are
it.
doing like
Right.
crazy things. Miss Earth, you need to sit on like a live stream for an hour and 30 minutes to hear about their projects and what they're doing, each one of them. And you do that over and over for each continent. So I think that the fan bases are very different. And no, I don't think that Miss Earth is going to reach that same level of hype and that same level of glossiness right away. Um, but it doesn't take away from the value of the pageants. And that's why even myself, I support it so much. You can see it on the views, for example, on when we make videos about Miss Earth, the views are not the same as when you make videos about Miss Universe or Miss Grand or
Right.
whatever.
That's true.
But
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
you have to, I mean, I do it because I support the pageant and like what they stand for. And also the girls, because a lot of the girls go through so much work and preparation. And at the end of the day, if they don't get like that recognition or appreciation, it's kind of like it's a downer, right? So yeah.
I'm actually with you. I think that when it comes to relevance, there's really no question. Miss Earth really is relevant, and they really do the dirty work. Like when you say they're going to plant trees, they definitely plant trees. If you say that they're gonna clean up the coast, they will clean up the coast. But I am also with you. If they won't be able to rectify, let's say, unorganized live streaming, clear live streaming, because I think that right now we are still trying to catch up on Miss Earth. I mean, we would love to watch all of the pocket events happening, but it's so difficult to catch up on their live stream. Like one time they say it's going to be at 5 p.m. and then it doesn't get streamed up until 7, and you don't know whether you're watching it from Missology or anybody else doing the streaming. It's just so
Yeah.
fragmented. But these are like the things that I would love for Miss Earth to improve on. Also their socials, because I go to their pages and I get overwhelmed. There are so many words written on just one post. So I honestly wish that they would clean this one up and then, make it more cohesive.
Yeah.
Louise, before I let you go, there are so many consistent girls at Miss Earth right now. I don't
Yes.
know if we are on the same page, but who are the consistent girls for you and who's gonna end up winning Miss Earth? Because Miss Earth is something that I don't touch. I don't know if our expertise um
Mm.
will match Miss Earth's decision because they always go the opposite direction. How do you feel
Uh-oh.
about this? Yeah.
Well, last year I made my first ever leaderboard to Miss Earth and I got it completely wrong. So I will say that.
Okay. We got this one right. Destiny we got right from the very beginning, but we
Uh-oh.
don't do a leaderboard. So it's a little
Okay.
difficult for us to prove that.
So for me this year, so far some of the candidates that are standing out, I would say Colombia is definitely standing out. In the beginning, I didn't see like people were saying like, "Oh, she's the winner," and I was like, I don't know, but she has been
Now
doing
I'm
very well lately.
convinced.
Yes, she has been doing very well.
I'm
We have
convinced.
Cuba, who also is gone, above and beyond my expectations. So I'm
True.
really happy with her. Who else? Australia, Taylor
Australia.
Swift. Mm,
Very consistent, Taylor.
very consistent. I like her. I like Namibia. I like
Namibia.
Nigeria.
I know.
I think that both of them are incredible. Palestine is doing well as well. I know that there's a lot of hype around her. For me, I still need a little bit more from Palestine.
Me
So
too. I
I'm
did get to talk to her, so I wish that she would get like the opportunity to open her mouth and really speak up because I think that's her strongest suit as well.
mhm, mhm.
Anybody else? Travel
Um,
Junkie is giving us a not so subtle hint. What about Miss Netherlands? She reminds me of Gigi
oh,
Hadid with that
so
pretty rosy
beautiful.
cheeks.
So beautiful. I think that from the batch of girls
Europe,
um from Europe, she is definitely standing out. Beautiful, beautiful. And I think that, in a way, uh I think that Miss Earth could really benefit from, I know that this is not their gig, but they could really benefit from like a really, really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. If they're able to get like the perfect blend of like beauty and brains, that will be a killer. Similar to what Carolina did this year with Miss World. Like, I feel like the pageant was,
right?
especially after
I
everything that
know.
happened,
Carolina absolutely turned everything around for Miss Earth because I
mm,
sorry, Miss
Miss
World.
World,
Miss World is a snooze fest. But I'm
snooze fest.
watching what's happening because Carolina is there, and if that one individual is like changing everything, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Um Marga is saying Belarus will snatch the crown. Belarus has been very vocal defending Miss Earth. Will this play
yeah.
in the decisions, maybe?
I don't think it will give her a crown automatically. It might give her, more of a chance to advance further in the competition. But the crown, she will still have it. She will still have to win it in her own merit, I think. But yeah, Belarus has been doing great. I want to comment about Jenny Ramp. How do you feel about Jenny?
Jenny, just like you, real talk, I don't think that she is like everything for the crown. I would love her
Mhm.
to get one of the elemental titles because I think that as a Philippine representative, she's doing pretty well as a host delegate. But
Yes.
Honestly, Luis, there are so many others who are a lot better when it comes to their movements. With Jenny, the thing that Jenny definitely has is face value. That's a really pretty
Mm,
face. And
yeah.
she's really smart and she can talk with conviction. So if she does have the chance to talk about the environment, I don't think that we would have any issues with Jenny. But if we're
Yeah.
talking about the full package, because Jenny is pretty young and there are still parts of her prep work that are still unpolished. So maybe in terms of the full package, she's not the
Yes.
one for me right now.
Hmm.
Um, I'm getting, maybe you forgot about her, but I am getting a number of comments. How do you feel about Miss Korea? Because I found out that Miss
Oh.
Korea was also submitting requirements to school as she was competing for the virtual challenges at Miss Earth. How do you
Oof.
feel about a multitasker with a killer body?
Miss Korea, I think that I see her as a potential winner. Okay, so she's definitely up there on my list. I like her communication skills. I like everything about her. The body's looking great. The videos, the footage that she has been releasing, the photos,
The
everything is
face
on point.
also.
Wow, everything is wow. How do we feel about the school thing? I feel like it's a great thing that she's looking after the future, what is going to happen in case that she doesn't win. But we also have to consider what if she does win, because
Yes.
will she be able to handle all of that at the same time with her commitment to Miss Earth? Maybe she has already thought about that, and she's like, well, if I get it, then I will just push it, further down the line. But it's things that we need to consider, and I believe that if the organization knows that she's applying for school before they crown her, it should be clear if, like, is this something that you want to actually pursue, because the last thing that Miss Earth needs right now is crown a queen and the queen stepping down. Like, we don't need that.
Right, right. And that hasn't really happened at Miss Earth, and we don't want this to be
uh,
the first. All
no, no,
right,
no.
so I think I also want to add in Miss Zimbabwe because I know that she got like one of the
Mhm.
awards previously. I saw some of her photos. Sometimes when it's the official photos, because photos are of course processed for like color grading and things like that. So I also tried to check out the other photographers and other admins who were there who moonlighted as part of the media. She had a consistent like skin tone. She was glistening and beautiful, Miss Zimbabwe. What
Mm.
about this other European? Because what I'm liking about Miss Earth right now, Luis, and I don't know if you um figured this one out, but I feel like the Europeans and the Africans, they're pretty competitive at the same level of competition as the Latinas as well. The Asians, at least the Southeast Asians, I'm not really hearing a lot of buzz from Vietnam, from Thailand, who are usually like our competitors when it comes to like pageantry. Miss Indonesia, I think, is doing really well. She's very
Mm.
well spoken, very eloquent. But how do we feel about Miss Belgium? Miss Belgium is also getting some recognition.
Mm.
Just very low
Belgium
key.
Belgium is doing well. I think that she will be definitely, I mean, based on my predictions, I think that she will crack the top 10, perhaps the top 5, because I think that she's just that consistent. I don't know if I see her as a winner just yet. I need a little bit
Yes,
more from her. Um, so yeah, it's not lost. She just needs to go out a little bit more, out of her way a little bit more to like charm the audience, in my opinion. How do you feel about her? Do you think that she's a potential winner?
only because my partner Tita B, my partner is the Miss Earth expert, and she
Ah,
always says that with Miss Earth, the social media popularity does not
doesn't.
matter. Like the reason why we get like other people get things wrong is because they're so glued into who's doing great in social media. So if this is the case, if Miss Belgium is somewhere along the roster of winners, but not necessarily rising as, the top girl, then I think she's in a really good position because Miss
Yeah,
Earth does have a tendency of like really going for just somebody in the middle, not someone who's like uber popular.
yeah,
So
yeah.
keeping this in mind, who's your winner this edition, Louise? Or at least for the
Oh.
events that just took place.
Mm. I'm really conflicted, but I will say, as of right now, as of today, what time is it? Uh, November
It is
20th,
11:04.
11:04 p.m. My winner is Cuba. I'm
Cuba.
going to say that. Bias aside, truly, talaga, I'm really impressed by her. I'm really happy with her. And as you said, I agree completely with you, Tita, when you said that sometimes for Miss Earth, it's not necessarily the one that is standing out the most, but they go and grab someone like a little bit of an underdog and they
Right.
just, uplift her. And I think that Cuba is in that position right now. I
Hmm.
don't see
Yeah,
her
yeah, yeah.
as the winner in terms of like being the best one in everything, but I think that she is close enough to the top to perhaps go for the crown. So that is my hope. But of course, there are many, many deserving queens. I think that Colombia has a really good chance of winning the title, and she will be deserving of it. Lots of people talking about Venezuela as well, although I'm not very fond of the styling. I
Me
think
too.
that
The red lipstick is a little off-putting for me.
is the hairstyle for me. I think that it ages her. Um,
Mm.
it should be a little bit more like young and stuff, but still like the girl is beautiful and her advocacy is consistent. So, those things. But what
Yeah.
about you? Who do you feel is going to win? Oh,
You know what?
reveal.
I know that they say it's not who the most popular is, but honestly, she's acing everything. And she reminds me so much of Catherine Espin of Ecuador. It's still Miss Colombia for me. And I also am looking at, how Miss Colombia has placed at Miss Earth. There have been so many times that they were like so close to it. We had the likes of Juliana Franco, we had the likes of Valeria Ayos, we had the likes of Michelle.
Yeah,
Um, I forgot her last name, but she was a Colombian candidate who did really well in the Philippines, or who is still doing well in Philippine modeling. So we've been doing so well. I mean, we've already given the crown several times to a Miss Venezuela. Why not give it to a Colombian who has been pretty consistent with their Miss Earth offering? So, but I think that we're on the same page. Cuba, uh, Colombia, and Australia at least. I can
oh.
name the three at least.
Uh-oh. Okay. I'm back. I was gone for a moment.
You are back.
Can
All right, but
Yes.
since we already reached the 2 hour mark, guys, don't worry about this because I will have so many chica chica with Luis. But I hope that we have given you a little bit of ourselves, a little bit of what we think about Miss Universe and Miss Earth. Luis, I am super duper thankful that you made time to be a guest in my channel because I wasn't even in the loop that you were coming here. I just messaged you out of the blue. If you're available on a Sunday, let's go ahead and do this on a Sunday. What was your reply to me?
I'm coming to the Philippines.
And I was like, for real? Like, it took me a while to really to really take it in. So
Yes.
once I was sure that you were on your way to the Philippines, I was a little worried that you might get a little tired. But I do hope that you get to adjust because I'm seeing you on the 23rd. I'm also seeing you on the 25th. So Luis, please invite everyone what's in store for you. Are you going to continue making content while you're here in the Philippines?
Yes, I'm going to continue making my regular content. I'm gonna try a little bit of the vlogging as well, but I'm so bad at it, so I don't promise anything. But truly, diba, like the goal for me to come here to the Philippines is just to experience the country, the culture, the people, meet my friends, and then whatever comes after that, like the content whatsoever, that's honestly secondary. I'm here to enjoy. Um, and I mean, what can I say, people? If you want to find me, go to my channel, Luis Portelles, social media. Um, what is it? On my Instagram, Luis Portelles, Facebook as well. My only ask from you guys, if you're watching up until this point, the live stream, please subscribe to Tita. She's so close to 50K. Final goal, so, so
Hey,
close.
Luis, because I totally forgot to ask them. I'm sorry, guys. I keep on forgetting. Please like the videos. Please subscribe. And if Luis reached 200,000 followers, maybe he can spare some followers so I can reach 50,000. I don't know. But just like the video, guys. You don't have to really
Please.
subscribe. Just like it because it gets,
it gets spreads to more people. And
suggested.
honestly, like people don't realize how much it takes, to go live for 2 hours and keep up,
Yeah.
a good conversation and charisma. And it's just all for the viewers. So if you're still here watching and you enjoy this, go ahead, like the video. If you have a little cash, send a little tip to Tita. It always
Kape
helps.
kape,
And
coffee coffee.
yeah,
But
yes,
Luis,
we all
I'm sure
appreciate it.
there will be folks who would like to send you something. I don't know. I guess just message Luis because we can't really advertise his numbers and his address here. But it is a practice, Luis. So don't get too weirded out
Yeah.
about this. But we do like sending our international friends like gifts or little things or maybe food. Because what I
Oh,
said, we would love to fatten you up. So
oh.
um, if you guys are watching and if you want to send Luis a little bit of something for his Philippine stay, message him. He'll probably give you his details.
Okay, will do. All right. Thank you so much, Tita. I love you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for always being so loving
Maraming
and
maraming
supportive.
salamat. Roland, maraming
Yes.
salamat. Thank you so much who are watching, who have, watched the whole 2 hours. I will see you very, very soon, you guys. Maraming
Bye.
salamat. Good night.
Good night.
Luis, thank you. I-end ko na